Penguin Random House Audio presents The Silence of the White City by Eva Garcia Sáenz. Translated from the Spanish by Nick Caster. Read for you by Henry Levya. The world needs bad men. We keep the other bad men from the door. Rust Cole, True Detective. Prologue. Vitoria. August 2016. The TV crews were obsessed with hounding my oldest friends in the cuadrilla. They needed a headline and were convinced those closest to me could supply it. From the moment the news broke that the killer had shot me, reporters chased them all over Vitoria. From then on, nobody got any peace. Posted on their doorsteps at the crack of dawn, they lingered at Saburdi's on Calle Dato for a few quiet tapas in the evening. At the time, no one felt like talking, and the unrelenting media presence didn't help. "We're sorry about what happened to Inspector Ayala. Are you going to the demonstration this afternoon?" one reporter asked, brandishing a newspaper with the story splashed across the front page. A large photograph competed with the headline. The big, dark-haired guy trying unsuccessfully to hide his face from the cameras in the image was me, a few days before the shooting. My female friends lowered their eyes. My male ones turned their backs to the cameras. "We're in shock," Jota finally blurted out, draining his glass of red wine. "Life isn't fair. It's not fair." Maybe he thought the journalists would be satisfied with that and stop harassing them. But just at that moment, they spotted Germán, my brother. He was impossible to miss. Only 4 feet tall, his dwarfism made him obvious to everyone. Germán tried to escape to the restrooms. The reporter, a veteran with 1,000 scoops under his belt, alerted the cameraman as soon as he spotted him. "That's his brother! After him!" My brother turned around before he slammed the door in the man's face, and that gesture appeared on all the national TV channels that night. "Go to hell," was all he said. He wasn't angry or offended, simply exhausted. I know everyone in Vitoria was stunned by the fact that I had been shot in the head, and if thinking hadn't been a physical impossibility just then, it would have moved me to tears. A policeman never expects to close a case by becoming the final victim of a serial killer who has plunged his city into a state of terror. But life has sly ways of playing tricks on you. So, yes, things didn't turn out too well for me. As I say, I ended up with a bullet in my brain. But maybe I should start by telling the story of what at first became known as the double crime of the dolmen, and in the end turned out to be a massacre carefully planned for many years by a criminal mind boasting an IQ far higher than those who were trying to stop him. When the person killing one victim after another is a damn genius, you can only hope your number doesn't pop out of the golden lottery drum for the little orphan to sing out in his quavering voice. 1. The Old Cathedral. Sunday, July 24th. I was enjoying the best Spanish tortilla in the world, the eggs still runny and the potatoes cooked but firm, when I took the call that changed my life. For the worse, I should add. It was the eve of El Día de Santiago, and in Vitoria, we were celebrating El Día de la Blusa, an homage to the youngsters who enlivened the early August celebrations by wearing traditional smocks. The bar where I was trying to finish my tasty snack was so crowded and noisy that when I realized my cell phone was vibrating in my shirt pocket, I had to go out into Calle del Prado. "What's wrong, Estivaliz?" My partner didn't usually bother me on my days off, and El Día de la Blusa and the evening before were too sacred for anyone to even think about going to work. The entire city was in a state of commotion. At first, the noise of the brass bands and the flood of people following them prevented my hearing what Estíbaliz was trying to say. "Unai, you have to come to the old cathedral," she insisted. Her tone of voice and the undercurrent of urgency and bewilderment struck me as odd. Estíbaliz has more guts than me, and that's saying something. I understood immediately that something serious must have happened. Trying to get away from the ever-present racket that was engulfing the city, I walked automatically toward La Florida Park so that our conversation could be at least minimally productive. "What happened?" I asked, trying to shake off the effects of the last glass of Rioja. "You won't believe it. It's exactly the same as 20 years ago." "What are you talking about, Esti? I'm not at my sharpest today." "Some archaeologists from the company restoring the cathedral found 2 naked corpses in the crypt, a boy and a girl, with their hands resting on each other's cheek. You remember that, don't you? Come right now, Unai. This is serious, very serious." She told me where to find her and ended the call. It can't be, I thought. It can't be. I didn't even say goodbye to my friends in the cuadrilla. They were going to stay in Sagartoquis in the midst of that flood of humans. It was unlikely any of them would even pay attention to their phone if I called to say that El Día de la Blusa was over for me. With my colleague's words echoing in my brain, I headed for the Plaza de la Virgen Blanca. I passed my own doorway and went up Calle de la Correría, one of the oldest streets in the medieval heart of the city. It was a bad choice. Like everywhere else in the city center that day, it was packed. La Malquerida and the other bars lining the old city were crammed with locals. It took me more than 15 minutes to reach La Burrullería Square at the rear of the cathedral, where I'd agreed to meet Estíbaliz. In the 15th century, the square had been the market of the burrulleros, or weavers who made the city one of the main trading arteries in northern Spain, and it had retained their name. As I walked across the cobblestones, the bronze statue of Ken Follett seemed to watch me go by, as if the writer had anticipated the dark web of intrigue being spun around us. Estíbaliz Ruiz de Gauna, my colleague and fellow inspector in the Criminal Investigation Unit, was waiting in the square, making 1,000 phone calls, darting back and forth like a lizard. Her red hair framed her face. At 5 feet 2 inches tall, she just met the height requirement to join the force. Had Esti been any shorter, Vitoria would have lost one of its finest, most tenacious detectives. We were both damn good at solving cases, although we weren't quite as good at playing by the rules. We had received more than one warning for disobedience, and so we'd learned to cover ourselves. As for following orders, we were working on it. I turned a blind eye to some of the addictions that still slipped into Esti's life. She looked the other way when I disobeyed my superiors and investigated on my own. My specialty was criminal profiling, so I was usually called in when we had a case involving a serial killer or rapist, any delinquent who reoffended. If there were more than 3 events with a cooling-off period between them, I was your man. Estíbaliz specialized in victimology, that great forgotten science. Why that person and not someone else? She was also better than anyone at using the police databases, like the one that compiled the treads of every imaginable vehicle, or Soulmate, a guide to the footprints left by all the international makes and brands of shoes and sneakers. As soon as she saw me, she hung up her cell phone and looked at me, distraught. "What's inside the cathedral?" I asked. "You'd better see for yourself," she whispered, as if the heavens or perhaps hell could hear us. Who knew? "Superintendent Medina himself called me. They want a profiling expert like you, and they've called me in to examine the victims. You'll soon see why. I want you to tell me your first impression. The crime scene techs are already here, and so are the pathologist and the judge. Let's go in via Cuchi." Calle Cuchillería was one of the ancient streets where the guilds had been established in the Middle Ages. Vitoria could boast an indelible record of our ancestors' trades. La herrería for black.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?